Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. I just wanted to do a first initial thought process on this book I've got here, the Practical C++ Financial Programming. This came to me yesterday from somebody on my Skype. It got a bit of quite a number of likes on Facebook. It shows a lot of people are really wanting to learn this stuff in C++. So I want to say thanks to that person. Also, this book I think is going to be kind of like the new milestone, the roadmap that I've been looking for, because, well, let's talk about Windows and .NET. I've been using Windows and .NET for the last couple of years. My site back in December was hacked. That really opened my eyes about the vulnerabilities of just websites, but let alone trading systems, and that's obviously live trading accounts, basically a livelihood essentially. So security is always at the top of my mind. Windows, we're not best friends, let's put it that way. It's led me to start looking at non-Windows, I won't say non-Microsoft technologies, but definitely non-Windows technologies and the alternatives. Now, what I'm about to show, I'm not here to bash Microsoft or .NET. I'm just, at this point, with Windows 10 coming out, and my experiences with Windows 8.1, which I kind of like actually, it's not that bad, but it just lags. It's still the same classic problems with Windows. So I'm looking for new technologies to sort of like enable me to get off of Windows. I've been like this pretty well for the last 6 months. So this book is going to help me get to that point of understanding real development, how it's done in Linux and how it's done on Mac OS 10. So let's talk about the statistics on C# and .NET and Microsoft generally. The last few weeks, I've been noticing there's been a couple of stories through the .NET community. For this one is a big one where C# jobs are dropping by 50% over the last 5 years since 2010. So that trend is pointing down. The other one is because of that. There's always talk about Microsoft's bringing out this project, that project, this, and they keep replacing it. So they keep outdating their own technology. So more and more people are losing interest in C#. So they're thinking that C# hit its peak. Now with Windows 10 that may change, obviously, but for me it's just, at this point I always say never until I start live trading. But at this point I'm wanting to move into, like I said, non-Microsoft technologies. So I'm going to leave these articles up here. I'm not here to go on about that, but they're here, and some of the drops are pretty startling. So as a result, I always say in the world of programming, when it comes to trading, when it comes to automated trading, even if you want to go with the low latency, high frequency trading, you always have to, sometimes I want to kill these birds out here, but I don't do that. I like birds, but this one's annoying. Sorry about that. Anyways, the C++ is essentially the language, the standard, de facto language used in trading and banks and hedge funds. It's what everybody uses for speed. This book is fairly modern. It's only 2 months old, and it's quite good. It will lay down a new foundation. The other cool thing is that there's code with it using Xcode. So that's obviously on Mac OS 10, which is good. So that will enable me to really understand how the developers in the world of these financial institutions do it on Mac and Linux. It's a nice thing about C++. Anyways, let me just go over some of this stuff. Now I've only looked at 3 chapters so far. That's why I'm calling this the initial review, I guess, or my opinion on all this. But as I said, this is going to be a really powerful roadmap for me now, as I've had other books that I suggest for people to understand how financial systems are developed. But that's using C# and .NET. I think those are still very important books for those that are fairly new at this and want to understand programming and want to evolve understanding automated trading. It's a huge, lengthy process. This book is also not a book to teach you how to do C++. This is assuming you already know C++. It's just showing you how to basically use C++ in the world of finance. And as I said, it's a fairly modern book. So let me open it up on Amazon. All right, so I'm going to go to the table of contents here. Now, this is an important appendix that I went into first because I'm fairly not all that versed in C++ like it was eons ago. This is a good appendix to bring you up to date on what are the newest features and how even the basic versioning works. I mean, news to me, right? And then the other thing I look at are these ones, using C++ with R and Maxima. And there's also another chapter on extending financial libraries. So let me try to pull those up. This is a preview within Amazon. But let me just see here. Okay, so let's talk about R and Python. Let's address R first with my thoughts with MATLAB. MATLAB I love. It's just the environment's powerful. It's fast. I can get stuff done very fast. Some say it's too expensive. It's too, there's always a home edition. It's very cheap. And also when you factor in the cost of development, the cost of your time versus getting something done faster, I think you will quickly realize that doing it in MATLAB can get it done faster. Much faster. So because of that, I've been looking at optimization tools in all languages, R, Python, and MATLAB. I've got ones already identified in MATLAB, and the one I showcased yesterday with basically the portfolio optimization tools, awesome, gets the job done. But I also try to do the same thing in comparison with R. And the problem with R is when you go into R and you go into like R Blogger and you look for topics on whatever you're looking for, there's lots of stuff, lots of scripts, lots of demos. They're good. But when you compare what I was looking for versus in MATLAB, I got the thing done faster. With MATLAB, I had interactive, where I'm just generating an efficient frontier, and I look at a point. I can further explore that looking at the VAR. To do this in R, I could not find any equivalent at all in R. And then when I started looking at Python as well under here, Python is kind of, to me, I don't know, call it a joke, because when I look for a specific Python portfolio optimization, I could not find anything. Maybe the Python developers don't use portfolio optimization, or they call it a different name. But I just couldn't find it, and it's kind of difficult to fall in line with that. Anyways, back to R. I think both R and Python are important for what they do. A lot of people have R and Python scripts already built for their trading components, systems, or whatever. But I'll give you an idea of the performance of MATLAB versus R and Python. I've studied various more recent developments of performance on when you take a language like C++, you bridge it with a MATLAB, you bridge it with an R, you bridge it with a Python. MATLAB, there's two advantages with it. You can co-generate right into C itself, which is fairly high performance from what I've seen. The other thing is you can also use MEX files, which are basically will save the workspace and put it into a file, like a binary file, and you can embed those as part of your your C++ clients that can have access to those MEX files. And when you compare the performance of either co-generating it or using MEX files, they're still much faster than when you bridge R with C++ using RCPP. Now with Python, there's numerous ways to go about it, but you get the typical couple hundred times slower. But even if you go with Python, and I've looked at Python, it's like you might as well know how to learn how to read and write Chinese, because it's such a cryptic way of doing it, because you're getting right into assembly. On top of that, There was another one called Numbers. I've never played with it, but the performance looks good. But when you even factor in RCPP versus MEX files, it's still, from what I've seen and what I've read, MATLAB is still better optimized for using with C and C++. So basically, how this works with the R, I can't remember how it was done, but with a Python, it's not using any third-party libraries, but they're very simple examples. They're not using any weird libraries, not even RCPP, let's say. But there are ways to do it. Now, again, I don't know how good it is, so it's interesting to play around with, but I'm still going to be staying with MATLAB the way it looks. There seems to be a better just people seem to be more liking the idea of MATLAB when they understand the advantages with it. The other things we talked about, the appendix, which was really important. And there was one other section I looked at. Oh yeah, the charting or the plots. C++, obviously that's their big disadvantage, is the interface. You can use Qt. There's a little class that they use for plotting. From Qt they also used GNU GNU plot for charting. Very, very, very basic. My way of getting around that is using, again, MATLAB guides with the GUI, with the graphical user interface. I think you can somehow interface it from C++, plus the charting as well. So that's what I'm looking at. But overall, I'm going to do a complete overview of this book. They're simple examples, but as I said, this is a very good roadmap which covers a lot of the areas of development in C, specifically for Linux and Mac. You can do it obviously in Windows as well using MinW, because they want you to use the GCC compiler, but they do say the code will work with Visual Studio. So there is that. Now the other cool thing about this, because I'm more dibble-dabble in Windows versus Linux, it gives good examples of how to even run certain files, C files, on the command line in Linux, which is great, because it's simple stuff like that get you tied up in how to use Linux. That's the frustrating part, but this book does cover all that, which is great. So far, I know I kind of meandered a lot, but this book is really good. But you can see through the available source code, it does cover a lot of algorithm and trading related strategies. It also talks about STL and all the different containers using Boost and STL, so it's using all the mainstream stuff as well. So even if you're wanting to do a book or use this book for career, I think this is a good choice as well. But again, where I'll leave it at, do not think that this book will teach you how to do C++. You've got to know the language. It's specifically designed for those that know the language but want to know how to learn it. That's applicable to the world of financial trading. And I think this is a good book. It covers a lot of areas. So hopefully that'll help you out, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'll do another review on the actual algorithms themselves. Talk to you later.